Hey yo, what's up everybody, it's JJ. Today I'm coming back a video talking about Flux, and of course on this content itself I'm gonna basically show you the results that you can potential passive income that you can make from Flux. Noding, validating, staking, whatever terminology you want to call it. Basically I call it passive income in the crypto space. So if let's say you have not subscribed to the channel, kindly hit the subscribe button, turn on post notification and leave a thumbs up to this video. And of course, disclaimer first, I will say that some of the product that I'm going to mention, it is basically products that I'm affiliated with, and of course from there you can use it to support the channel. Otherwise you can use the donation link down below to send me some flux or whatsoever to basically help the channel out with producing like free content. And of course on the channel itself I have done like guides, tutorial, and after that from there how to set up your validator nodes, basically everything talking about the crypto space. And of course I would say I will find the easiest possible way for you to basically get started. And of course without further ado, I'm going to explain to you what is Flux first. So before we jump into the content itself, I have made a playlist basically talking about Flux, and of course if you want to know more about it, it is over here I believe. So over here is over here on my YouTube channel, and after that from there I made like two videos talking about Flux. First of all, it is basically talking about the full guide. The first video I've done is basically teaching you how to set up your own Flux node. So if you are interested in doing that, the video is gonna pop up, just click on it above. List talking about this Flux video setup of your nodes, and of course from there talking about mining or staking of Flux. And of course without further ado, I'm going to jump into the topic. What is Flux? Basically over here, for those who are new in the crypto space or new to this content itself, basically Flux itself is a cryptocurrency token over here at rank 120, and of course it is valued at 0.82 cents. And of course if you want to look at the all-time high itself, we are talking about basically around almost $3 and 10 cents, 12 cents. And of course as of now the lowest it was like maybe a few cents. And of course from there, whoever had bought it previously, you are basically running like lots of nodes, and after that you are somehow rich, I mean like wealthier than the others. And of course from there, talk about Flux itself, it is if you heard about Amazon Web Services, Azure, the Microsoft Azure, or those cloud computing component itself, basically Flux itself, they are trying to make it decentralized. And of course by making it decentralized, there's a lot of incentive, I mean like not incentive, but of course there's ways to make this cloud computing decentralized. And of course from there you do not need to pay hefty fees to run your instances or your program on the Flux network itself. You can basically use it to run like your software, like web hosting services, or maybe you're running a Ethereum node or something like that. You can run it all on Flux. And of course from there I would say the fees that they charge itself is not obscene, not really that expensive. Is depending on what kind of resources that you need. And of course I believe that the company itself, they are doing this, and after that they are still new. I would say it's a startup. And of course from there, if you want to talk about the revenue of this type of companies itself, I would say Amazon itself, annually they are producing in billions of dollars. And of course from there I would say Flux itself, can they beat these Amazon Web Services out there? I would say they might not beat them, but of course they are another alternative slash a cheaper solution for whoever, for the developers out there, or let's say a website hosting company that, I mean like you want to host a website or whatsoever, you can look at this option. And after that from there you can pay in Flux. And of course from there, making crypto a place where it is has much more utility, instead of just people talking about, oh, Bitcoin crypto is just a money laundering scheme or a digital gold that people got rich off. And after that from there, making it sounds like crypto has no use case. But of course in actual practice, there's a lot of project out there trying to make use cases for crypto, and after that from there making a name for the cryptocurrency. So without further ado, we are going to jump into the topic talking about how much can you make from a Flux node. So over here I put the screen over here, basically talking about the Flux rewards itself. So there's like 4 types of staking that is available on Flux itself. First of all, it is the node running. Basically for this tier that you are looking at, the Cumulus, the Nimbus, and the Stratus over here, you are required to have X amount of Flux to basically put as collateral to run a node. And after that from there, your node itself will require a certain hardware to basically support this type of nodes itself. So we can look at the hardware as of now. So over here for Cumulus itself, you need to have 1000 Flux, and after that the hardware requirement is 2 core, 4 threads, 8GB, and after that 222 SSD or NVMe, and of course a decent internet speed. And and of course your processors must be able to read this even per second minimum requirements. And after that over here, you might be thinking, okay, I can use a VPS, and after that from there run it. But of course bear in mind, if you're going to use a VPS itself, I already basically done a video talking about this over here, talking about this running your own Flux node. Should you maybe do something like a VPS setup, or maybe like own hardware itself. If you want to, just watch that video, and after that from there I've explained everything, so I'm not going to repeat it in this video. But of course, to know about this Flux itself, for Nimbus itself, you will need a higher end of hardware, and of course from there 12.5k of Flux. And of course for stretchers itself, the most hardcore one, I mean the elite tier over there, 40k. And after that from there, the hardware itself is high end, and after that from there it's going to cost you a range from 1,000 towards 2,500 depending on where you get your hardware at. And of course from there, to get this running itself, you need at least 30 over $1,000. This over here around 10,000 or plus. This is the cheapest option. But of course, do not fear, there's another option. It's the Titan shared node, which I'm going to explain to you later on. So we're going to look at how much can you be making over here. So over here for Cumulus itself, you can see that this amount, and after that plus the Flux token, basically this is the parallel rewards, I believe. And after that over here, this over here is the total amount that you can be actually making. So every day per day itself, you can make around 0.5 or 0.6 over Flux if let's say you go for the Cumulus. And of course, to run the node itself, the uptime has to be 24/7. And of course, I'm going to show you a little bit of some example. So over here, if you head over to your Flux node itself, over here I have my node over here. I'm just going to show you some of the example that I'm going to explain to you how does the reward system work. So over here, you expand it over here. If let's say you have Flux node running, you will see there's the ranking, and of course over here on the ranking itself, it is the determination / the queue system for you to receive your first payout or your next payout. So over here you can see that as of now for my tier Nimbus itself, there's 2,000 over nodes. That means the last ranking itself, there's 2,206 of this rank over here. So if let's say you keep your hardware online, and after that from there, it will just eventually every block equals one rank, and after that from there you will be queued in the system, and eventually when this rank goes to 1, and after the next block happen, you are basically going to get rewarded. So for Nimbus itself, you are actually looking at maybe 3 days or so, 2 to 3 days of the block time to receive your rewards itself. So what does this mean over here? So for Nimbus, Cumulus, and Stretchers itself, the lower the number it is, the more frequently you will get paid out. And after that from there, the rewards itself is slightly different, so I'm going to explain to you later on. So over here, you have to know that for Cumulus itself, there's 10,000 over nodes that's running, and after that from there, the queue system itself is 10k. So to get a reward itself, you can look at this over here, estimated a month itself. So your reward might be maybe in 20 days or so. So you have to look out for Cumulus itself. If let's say your node is not working or whatsoever, your node suddenly go offline. But of course, if you go offline itself within like maybe 10 blocks, it is still okay. But if you miss more than 10 blocks itself, your node will just go to offline, and once it goes offline, equals your queue number itself will be removed. And when you boot up your system again, and of course run the node again itself, basically your ranking will be accounted for the last, and of course from there you have to re-queue the whole process. Maybe you are already at block number 10, but eventually you disconnected from the server, and eventually you need to re-queue again. So this is the thing that you need to basically watch out on if let's say you're gonna run a Flux node. And of course over here for Nimbus itself, you can be generating this amount of Flux, 90 over Flux, and after that from there 60 over additional parallel asset. And over here for the Stretchers itself is the high end one. You can receive quite a lot of Flux on a monthly basis. So I'm just going to show you the staking of this Titan share node. If let's say you can't afford to have 1,000 nodes, or you do not want to buy a hardware or a VPS to do so, let's just put it as this way, you do not have the capability or the knowledge to run a node, and after that from there you can't afford this 1,000 Flux itself, there's another option for you. It is as low as 50 Flux, and after that with this 50 Flux itself, you can basically do a share staking over here on the Run on Flux website. And of course you have to download the Zelcore wallet in order to do so, and after that when you have downloaded it, loaded your funds up, you can just sign in using the Zel ID. And after that over here you can see that there's a Titan share node in beta right now. So over here you can see that there's too much Flux being staked, so you have to wait for more nodes to be available so you can stake onto it. And of course from there you can see that there's around 97 active nodes, and of course there's a catch to it. Basically there's a lockup period of 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months, and of course the longer you stake, the higher APR you get. I mean the APR, yes. And after that from there you can see I've already done 220 Flux for maybe I think 3 months or something like that. Yeah, around there. And of course you can see that this 220 Flux every month I'm going to generate 1.28. and of course over here you might be thinking, okay, the reward might be slightly little and everything, but of course we are going to basically talk about the actual results that I have, and after that I'm going to explain to you, give you some tips, and of course for you to basically determine if you want to run a Flux node or not. So over here we can see that the actual result itself, this is my wallet that I'm going to show you. So every 3 days or so, you can see that almost every 3 days or 4 days itself, the payout for Nimbus is around 3 to 4 days. And for Cumulus itself, I would say the payout itself is slightly longer. We are talking about maybe in a month or maybe 20 over days, depending. I mean, like honestly, sometimes it's 10 days, but of course the Cumulus itself, it is definitely a node that is growing, and after that it is definitely there's more and more people signing up for the Cumulus node because it is slightly cheaper to start off with, and the hardware requirement itself is very little. You can run a VPS of it, and after that from there you can just run the node, and after that just take 1,000, because 1,000 itself is not as painful as basically 10 over 1,000 or even 30 over $1,000. And of course over here we can see that the Cumulus node itself is growing as, I mean, like every day if we speak about it, every day itself the Flux node ecosystem itself for Cumulus is definitely growing. And after that we can, it's loading, I'm not going to show it to you. So over here for Cumulus itself, we can see that previously on the early days itself, I would say that around 5 days itself, I will receive a reward on every like 5 or 10 days, and after that eventually more and more people stake for the Cumulus, and after that the reward itself, the latest one we can see is around maybe there's days that I went for like 1 month because my node was down, and after that over here you can see that on the actual, the latest one is on the August towards the September, so around 10 days or something like that. So over here I'm going to show you my personal results. So over here, this is my personal result. These are the actual results that I have. Over here for Cumulus, I've started on the 14th of March, and as of today it is 5th of October, so 205 days running time. Nimbus 21 March, 198 days running time, and of course the flux needed to get started basically is 1k and 12.5. And after that the reward that you can receive per block itself, not including the parallel asset, over here this is around 5.625 every time you hit the number. So over here I'm going to show it to you again, the ranking system. If you reach number rank 1 and the next block happens, you'll receive your payout. So for Nimbus and Cumulus itself, is the reward itself is stated over here 5 and 9 something. And after that over here, the PA assets that I have not claimed. So over here for my Cumulus itself, I have not claimed a single PA asset, basically the parallel assets, since the day that is mining. And after that from there, there's around 39 of this lying around. And after that for my Nimbus itself, yes, I've collected some, and after that from there the numbers over here does not seem that great, but of course I've already collected some of the parallel asset. And of course from here you can see the accumulation since, so this is total. So whatever I've accumulated, the rewards plus the parallel asset itself, you can see Cumulus I'm getting like around 95 flux, equivalent to the US dollar as of today. The price of flux is maybe 0.822288. Basically I'm generating almost $80 off $1,000 investment, or let's say right now it's $800, basically around 10% if you want to talk about it, basically running for 6 months. Yeah, basically ROI itself around 6 months I generated like almost maybe 10% through $800. Yes, it's 10%. And after that over here Cumulus, Nimbus itself generating I would say also around 6 months running time, and after they generated around $600 over off maybe a $10,000 investment. So I would say to be honest, the result itself for my case itself is not that great, because to be honest, when I'm setting up the node itself, time to time I would say that my node went offline. So yeah, when it went offline itself, it misses the block or 10 block itself, it get offline, and after that you have to re-queue the whole system. So I would say the system itself, for my case, I do not know why, but of course sometimes when I run the node itself, eventually it just goes offline when there's a new update. So I would say that I will do my best to monitor, and after some time I miss monitoring for 2 or 3 days and the node is offline, and of course I need to go back and after that do a restart on the node itself, and after that from there it goes off online, and I can just do a re-queue in the system. So I would say these are the cons that I have, or slash risk, and of course experience I went through. So how do you want to keep your nodes off online itself? I would say you can basically use a UPS, and after that from there you have to monitor your nodes with like Telegram or Discord, their notification server. So if let's say suddenly your node goes offline or something is wrong, it will ping you through Discord and Telegram. If you rely on Discord itself, sometimes Discord might not ping, and after that from there I basically enable both, and after that from there, yeah, it is working fine now. And after that I would say that we can look at the daily and the monthly rewards if you want to know about it, receiving in Flux. So over here for my case itself, Flux itself generated around daily 0.46 of Flux on the cumulus tier, and monthly itself is around 13. And after that, from there, Nimbus itself, we can see that it is around 115 for a month, and daily is around 3. So if we head back to the Flux dashboards over here, you can see that the reward that you're supposed to get for this cumulus itself, I would say we can do a math over here, a calculator. So around 18 Flux per month, but of course I only generated like around 13 Flux or even 14 monthly, because I already mentioned during my time itself there was some downtime, and after that unfortunate event, and of course eventually when the Flux network keep growing, there's definitely your reward monthly will go lower and lower. So for my case itself, not really ideal. And of course if you want to look at the next one, is over here my Nimbus reward. So how much am I generating, or am I like hitting the benchmark of expected? So we are 156. So if I go back itself, I'm earning only 115. So over here definitely did not hit the benchmark as expected. And of course over here I would say this over here is for home nodes runner. If let's say you're running on your home, and after that from there your hardware sometimes goes offline, and after that eventually, like, I do not know, maybe the system went for an update, but of course somehow your software can't run the benchmark itself. And of course when it can't run the benchmark, you are definitely gonna be, there's gonna be error on your logs itself, and after that from there you will not be able to queue into the system, and after that basically your node will go offline. And of course when this happens itself, you need to basically do some configuration like restarting the benchmark, and after that when you restart the benchmark it does not work, reboot your system. Rebooting the system itself, it might not work actually. And of course the last option itself is to reinstall Flux, and after on the command line itself, if you reinstall it, it will work. And after that from there I would say that this process itself is somehow needed if let's say you're running a home node. I do not know, some of you guys out there might be running your nodes perfectly fine, but of course for my case I'm unsure why. But of course for the hardware requirement and everything, I meet the minimum requirement, I mean the requirement for those nodes here itself. So share with me if let's say you're running nodes, Flux node, if let's say you are hitting into this kind of like obstacle from time to time, having your nodes down or something like that. So if let's say you are already running, you can share with me your experience, or maybe tell me how do I like fix this issue. Feel free to comment it down below, and of course I'm gonna link that spreadsheet down below for full transparency, and of course link my address down below so you guys can do a tracking or maybe stalking. And eventually if let's say you guys are using my my results as basically as a benchmark slash considering to join to the Flux network or whatsoever, feel free to do it. And after that I would say I'm gonna see you on the next one. Bye bye, peace.